Last week I showed you how flawed science and hidden medical evidence put Robert Robertson on death row for a crime he never committed. Nikki, his daughter, died of pneumonia, but there's a second reason Robert was convicted, and it has nothing to do with what he did. It's about how he looked while his daughter was dying. When Robertson arrived at the hospital with his unconscious Nikki in 2002, staff were immediately unsettled by his demeanour. Her condition worsened and ultimately became fatal. He remained outwardly calm, no tears, no visible panic, and no dramatic gestures, too many that read as suspicious. But what if it wasn't? What if the very traits that made him seem off were not signs of guilt, but of a neurological condition? While doctors and lawyers debated medical evidence, prosecutors had already decided Robert was guilty, based purely on how he looked and acted at the hospital. Robert Robertson's autism was never disclosed to hospital staff or investigators. It wasn't meaningfully addressed at trial. Yet it was central to the understanding of how a grieving father became a murder suspect. Autism is a neurological condition affecting how people communicate and interact. It's not a choice, it's how the brain is wired from birth. One common trait is called flawed affect, a reduced outward display of emotion, a blank face, monotone voice, minimal gestures, and limited eye contact, which can all be misread as emotional detachment. In reality, these traits reflect a different way of expressing emotion, not a lack of feeling. Court records reveal how every action Robert undertook was twisted. A nurse documented her suspicions. Why would a panicked father take time to dress his dying daughter before rushing her to ER? To her, it seemed calculated, but to an autism expert, it was textbook reliance on routine during crisis. Later, while showing detectives around his kitchen, Robert paused to make a sandwich. Former homicide detective Brian Wharton described Robert's behaviour as just not right. Prosecutors used these moments to paint him as cold and remorseless. Yet, have you ever been misunderstood because how you naturally expressed yourself? At a 2008 hearing, psychologist Diane Meisnick offered a radically different interpretation. She connected the dots prosecutors had missed. Dressing Nikki, autism reliance on routine during stress, that blank expression, flawed affect, a neurological trait, not coldness. The sandwich, social confusion about appropriate behaviour. Every suspicious action had a medical explanation. Meisnick found Robert Robertson's social problem-solving skills were the equivalent to that of an 11-year-old child. He struggled to distinguish sarcasm from sincerity, to read social cues that most people process automatically. Imagine grieving your child while strangers judge your tears, or the lack of them. Robert Robertson's lawyers argued that these misunderstandings by nurses, doctors, police, prosecutors, and jurors led to a distorted view of his story. He said Nikki fell out of bed, but once his behaviour was framed as suspicious, even complex medical findings were interpreted through the lens of presumed guilt. This case exposes a critical blind spot in our justice system, the failure to recognise and accommodate neurodiversity. When institutions equate emotional expression with truth, they risk punishing people for being different, and that's not justice. Robert Robertson's continued presence on death row reflects systemic bias against neurological difference, an injustice rooted in misunderstanding, not evidence. What other cases involve neurodiversity are being weaponized against defendants? Drop them in the comments section below. In October 2024, the Texas Court of Criminal Appeals granted a stay of execution for Robert Robertson, whose execution date had been set for October 16, 2025. The case now returns to the trial court in Anderson County, Texas, where judges will determine whether Robert is entitled to a new trial based on emerging evidence that discredits shaking baby syndrome diagnosis, which was central to his original conviction. Autism and parental rights organisations have sent urgent letters asking for clemency. Governor Greg Abbott has only commuted one death sentence in 9 years. As of November 2025, Robert remains on death row in Texas. Advocacy groups continue to fight for his exoneration, but his execution date could be set at any moment. Justice reform must go beyond policy. It must challenge the assumptions that shape perception. Medical and legal professionals need training to understand that not everyone grieves, reacts, or communicates in the same way. Because when we fail to do that, we don't just misjudge individuals, we reinforce a system that privileges conformity over compassion. Robert Robertson's case isn't just a legal tragedy, it's a test of whether our justice system can admit it punished a man for being autistic. If we want a fair system, we must learn to see people as they are, not as we expect them to be. If you want to explore more cases where the justice system, hidden biases, destroyed innocent lives, hit subscribe, because those blind spots are bigger than what you think, and someone needs to expose them. For now, take care.